Thanks to the few people of you for coming here. I'm Antonio Pezzano, and I'm here also on behalf of Silvia. The panel, you might know, was organized by me and Silvia. And Silvia, unfortunately, is sick, so she couldn't join us, but I will try to make my best to present something that is related to what Silvia is doing. Actually, Silvia, maybe you might know her. She's an hotel owner. I'll go to this because I want to see what I present, sorry. And she's an hotel owner, she's an hotel manager. And the first time I went to Silvia, I saw in her place something like this. This is the way she asked people to review and guests to review her place. I don't think she still use it, maybe she still use it, but it was really something that I'd never seen before. And if you read some of the comments, I don't have many other pictures, but you can be on her website, you see that people in her hotel live what we call sustainability. And I'll give you just an example. You find this on her website. I gave it also a translation in English, so you can read. And you read also when you are in the room. So you are sleeping, and basically Silvia's saying, look, the bed where you're sleeping, the mattress, has been made close. Is a place close to where the hotel is based. And you can go buying this if you like. She actually did, she says. And this is another example. Now, of course, I'm not Silvia, so I cannot go on this. But the point is that Silvia was one of the first, on the few, actually, hotel managers that I met that, to my point, understood what sustainability is all about from the point of view of the consumer, from the point of view of the market. Now, I'm not an hotel manager, I'm not an hotel owner, I'm a guy who works in destination marketing, and the first thing I have to know is what really the market thinks, what really the market is. And how do we do this? Is doing by research. Now, if you look at the research recently over the past 10 years, is conclusive, sustainability is important, you know, all this kind of stuff. Bullshit. Why bullshit? Sorry the term, but it's important to say. Because this research, most of the research, is based on very poor methodology. First thing, if you present very nice thing to people in a list and you tell them, look, these things are important, do you like peace, for instance? This is one question. Of course you say, I like peace. And you keep on having this research in which people continue on saying, I like peace. Of course you like peace. So I have 3 rules when it comes to understanding what research really do in this field. One is that understanding that tourist perspective is very important, could be very various. So when there is a list, it is a set list of things, and they have to give an opinion about the list, I take it aside. I say, no way. Maybe you can use a different methodology. You can ask, okay, how is important to you on a scale to 1 to 10, and it's better. Then I know that behavior is a master. So when I see research, this is about attitude, I say, okay, maybe it's important, but you know why Amazon is more important than Facebook? Not just because Amazon has a lot of things to sell, but because they understand what really people buy, not what they say they buy. It's a different kind of thing. So behavior instead of attitude. And the third thing is that most of the research are based on the fact they ask the people about how they behave without saying and without understanding the situation. And I'm sure most of us have been traveling over the past maybe 3 or 4 years, being the same person but different tourists. I have a family, I have 3 daughters. I was saying yesterday to them that when my 3 daughters were younger than now, one is still young, I had to go at the beginning to resorts and to this nice island, the resort where all is done, all that is fun for you. I hate to do this, but with my family, I started liking, and now I like them very much. I'm the same person. I have different kind of needs depending on the context. So the other thing I do is, okay, let's look whether this research is investigating according to context and not to just person or personas. This is the 3 tricks I use. And there are a few research I want to mention. So my role here is to start the conversation saying from the marketing point of view what really tourists mean by sustainable. And this research came out, is still in preprint, means that it has to be reviewed and has to be put in the official paper. I don't know where they are going to publish it, but you can have on internet. I put the credits so you can see where the research comes from. And basically, there is a simple thing. And you can read here. People I mean, it's a big number of hotels. So we are not talking about small number of hotels. The research basically say that people are there for having a vacation in your hotel, for having a vacation, or maybe they have to go to business. I don't know what they have to do, but they want to stay peacefully. They want to enjoy their staying. That's what they want. And if you are able to provide that with meaning, you can tell them you are more sustainable, that you can put sustainability in practice. Otherwise, they don't care. They don't care you have a label. They don't care about this thing. And this is one point. The other point is that I've been doing a lot of research, not a lot, 2 or 3 research, and on what really sustainability is on the mind of consumer. It's too long to explain the methodology. If you want, then we can later on talk about this. But the 5 points that you see here is what really comes out, not just from my research or from our research with our colleagues, is what comes also from other research and what I noticed. And then maybe Richard will explain us better in your website. When people talk about sustainability, not talk, but live sustainability, what do really consumers or tourists have in mind is these five things. That's it. So this is the starting point for us, for having this conversation. I'm sorry, I'm not Silvia. She's better moderating than me, but I will try to do my best. And I will start with Richard. I think some of you might know sustainabletravel.com, right? Sorry, anytime. Responsibletravel.com. The presentation is coming. Your presentation is coming. And you organized package tour, I think, something like that, tours?
Yeah, so Responsible Travel is a marketing organization. We were the first, back in 2000 we launched, and we're the leading site that promotes responsible holidays. And we screen and promote over 400 different tour operators, and they're based all around the world. Some are based in the UK, some are based in the destination, and they're running holidays that are, in the loosest sense, soft adventure, whether it's cycling or walking or painting or cultural touring. We have annual sales of £25 million, which is about 25 million euros. And Italy is important for us. It's top 5, and more than half of the income that we generate and the holidays that we sell are with small Italian tour operators who run holidays in a particular part, whether it's Tuscany or Puglia, or a particular type of holiday. Point-to-point cycling and walking are the main activities. The founder of Responsible Travel, Justin Francis, as well as setting up the company, he works for the government, the UK government, on the Sustainable Business Council and the broader impacts of sustainability.
May I ask you, the first question is how you screen your hotels, how you make sure that you promise, something you promise on your website then is maintained, because I guess you have so many suppliers, and then you have to check them. How do you do that?
So all the operators have to have a policy around responsible tourism. but anyone can write a policy in 24 hours, which covers the environmental impacts, how you minimize the environmental impacts of the property or the holiday in general, and how you increase the benefits on the local community, both socially and economically. And because we know anyone can write a policy if you put time and effort in, what we do, and still very few other organizations do, is we then put each holiday that we promote right on the forefront of the page. We say how that policy is put into practice. So how does this company, what's it actually do? Not long words, but things that people who go on holiday can then see, oh yes, they did do that, or they did do that. So it's got to be holiday specific. And then when we know when people travel, and we send a review email like a lot of organizations, and one of the 3 questions we ask is really, how did the holiday seem to you with regards to the responsible tourism practices? And then that gets published. And if the operator, sometimes, and you'll know, well, you might not know because it doesn't rain here, but when it rains, people generally do negative reviews. And even then, sometimes they'll talk about negatively around the responsible tourism question. But if an operator gets 2 negative reviews around responsible tourism, then that trip is removed from the site.
And I keep on asking you, sorry, but then I'll come to you. Why responsible and not sustainable?
Generally, I don't think travel can be sustainable so much. The elephant in the room is flights. I think it's about 8 years now if you order a Boeing or an Airbus before you get it. There's no incentive for the airlines to improve their practices, and it'll be aviation, carbon-based aviation, for decades to come. So it makes it very difficult to claim tourism can be sustainable.
So
and everything can be responsible. Any all-inclusive can become more responsible.
And the last question before going to Paloma, and then we will have another round. I don't know whether you want to add something from your presentation or not. Is what's your? I'm sure you do some review with your guests or some marketing research. What's your understanding of so many years of responsible or sustainable tourism? What's their what they behave? Not just what they think about it is. What the 5 things that I've seen before, I put before, are what really think or not? What do you have in your research?
Why everyone should do responsible tourism is because it's a better customer experience. The customer has a better time when they're more invested and meet local people. And whether that's, going to make a pizza for an afternoon, or whether it's going truffle hunting or whatever it is, that holiday is better. If you have better holidays, when the customer is much more likely to talk to their friends about it and recommend it or come back, that means it becomes more profitable.
Okay. I want to share a story before going to Paloma. I met Justin Francis, the founder of your company. The first time I invited him was 2009, I think, 2008. I don't remember, maybe later, 2008. So 15 years ago. I was managing the Eden Network, so the network of destination awarded by the European Commission for being committed in the sustainable tourism, and we were in Malta. And Justin gave a presentation, then we met each other after 2 days. There was like a wrap-up, and somebody asked a question about, what do you think about what you're doing? And they said, a nice thing, keep on selling, because this is something to sell. And they said, look, you are talking, I told you yesterday, you are talking about the cherry, you forgot about the cake. I mean, the cherry is on top of the cake, but where is the cake? That is, where is the customer experience? And most of the time, the mistake we have been doing is to focus too much on the cherry and not on the customer experience. Now, Paloma, you've been working all over the world with this thematic. So, supposedly, I don't know because I cannot see from the with the lights in front of me, this panel was conceived for small hotel owners or managers. 90% of our offer in Italy is like that. What is the basic, with the experience you have, what is the basic steps small hotel would like should go for to practice sustainable tourism?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation to be here, and I just want to present my name. My name is Paloma Zapata, and I'm the CEO of Sustainable Travel International. Sustainable Travel International is an organization that has been around for about 20 years. And why sustainable, if you ask me? It's an aspirational goal. So, just like, zero waste or, zero plastic or zero carbon, it's an aspirational goal to be sustainable. But it's a journey. Sustainability is a journey. So it's a constant evolution in how we actually operate. So that's why, Sustainable Travel International. And what we do, well, we are supporting the tourism industry, so private sector, destinations, as well as individuals in operationalizing sustainability. So we generate awareness and we provide them tools and mechanisms, even AI tools. So maybe we should change the title. We should change the title to get more people, engaged. So that's who we are in a nutshell. And so I'm specifically going to, focus on how and what hotels, small hotels or, any hotel can do to basically be able to tackle the carbon emissions and to be able to create climate-friendly products. So you have the clicker?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So by the way, how many hoteliers are in here? Raise your hand. Okay, we have a few.
Few of them.
Destinations? Okay. People that work in tourism? Okay. Great. So we have, so the road to climate-friendly hospitality. The first step is to measure. So you really cannot manage what you don't measure. So you need to know where you stand. You need to understand, your carbon footprint. And there are tools that, help you do that. And, these are the things that we support organization is. Then, decarbonize or reduce. So cut your emissions where you can through operational efficiencies to retrofitting and investing in technologies that will help you do that, but always enhancing your experience. Again, we're talking about, creating experiences that, because it's the bottom line. Basically, you want to be able to create enhanced experiences, not do sustainability just for sustainability's sake. It needs to actually be part of your offering. And then regenerate, give back. Give back more than you take. And why? Because if you don't live in a silo, right? So you live in a community. So you have communities and you have nature around you as well. So if you have thriving communities, you have a thriving product and a good experience for your guests. And if you also have a thriving environment, as is the same way. So if you don't support, again, your community, your product itself could actually be degraded. And then communicate, share your journey. Share your journey and inspire others to do that. And do it through storytelling. So the word sustainability or being green, it doesn't cut it. No, it really just doesn't really provide, what exactly does that mean? You need to be able to talk about the story, how it makes you feel. So, for example, sit in our garden and enjoy a local fresh juice made from our local garden or from, the local producers. We support turtle conservation and endemic species. And these are the things that you can say. If you're going to talk about, for example, renewable energies, say exactly what you're doing. 60% of our energy comes from renewable sources. So be specific, but also tell a story and create a feeling. So I want to continue, and I want to help you guys with measuring the hotel carbon footprint. So if you go in here, so I know there are not that many hoteliers, but everybody else, just pick a hotel, any hotel, or invent one that you want to know what the carbon footprint is of that hotel. And we just ask 3 simple questions. And that basically is where's your hotel located? And you select in the drop down. The first one is Italy, so you can select Italy right away. The second is what category hotel from 2 to 5 star. Then how many rooms and what's your occupancy rate. And within a minute or so, you should receive an email that should tell you what is your yearly carbon footprint of that hotel. So it's very easy. Now you ask me how we do this. How with just these, particular very small details or very small data set we're able to give you. So this is an estimated value. So this is based on 26,000 hotel facilities providing data. So we have a very large amount of hotels who are providing their carbon footprint. And this is through the HCMI methodology, or Cornell University and Greenview as a business who are actually supporting these hotels to measure and report their carbon footprint. So it's based on these factors. You can, of course, actually measure the carbon footprint of your hotel, but you would need to provide more in-depth data, such as your energy consumption, your fuel consumptions, and other different sources of fuel. So did anybody get your results? How many people got their results?
Still working on it? We are curious to know whether you got your results, to see the results.
Yeah.
In the meantime, may I ask you?
Yes.
We were talking with Sylvia, so I tried to make also Sylvia live here with
Yes.
us. And she said that one of the most important barrier that she has when she has to do all the kind of things is that to be sustainable, as you said, everything needs to be measured at the beginning. Now,
Yes.
since most of the hotels are very small, and they don't have a sustainability manager or researcher, an accountant on this. Do you have example of how some hotel that hotel owners or managers that overcome this kind of difficult situation? Because we know that measuring is important.
Yes.
We already know this. How it
So
can happen?
you'll be, surprised. A lot of people just have that fear of making that first step. But to be honest, you already have that information. If you have records as far as your energy consumption, so you have an energy bill. So all of that information comes in. And, a lot of businesses that come to us, they say, we know we need to do something, but we don't know where to start. And when they start just by measuring or just by, looking at their energy bill, that's the first thing. They start saving money right away. Because again, you can't tackle what you don't actually, are measuring or are really looking into. So that's the first thing. They start seeing where there could be inefficiencies that they can actually start saving money. So that's one area. Then, fuel consumption, where you buy your food. So all of these things, you actually have it because you do it on an operational basis. So sometimes it takes the first step to actually be able to gather that data. So that may be the first detractor, but once you do that and you have a systematic way of collecting the data, it actually becomes, easy. And I think, I have some example here from the Dolomites, right? That you said you started doing your carbon footprint and then you consistently have businesses continue to support the program because they see benefit in it. So it's the first starting point, really, the barrier.
And do you have seen the results?
Do you have the results? One result? You have results? So how can we start this? Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. So now I would like for you to give me the results. So what is the yearly carbon footprint of the hotel that you measured? Is it under, 5 metric tons per year? Is it between 5 and 20, 20 and 50, or 50 metric tons? And these representatives of, thank you. These are representations of a, kind of a medium to small, hotel. So if you can just start putting in the data and we'll see where we're falling here. And we'll see while they do that. Do you have another question?
Yeah, my question is, since we didn't use the word EI, we should have done this. Yes. But my question is, do you think that EI can help us in making this barrier lower, meaning that,
yes,
in a way, are you experiencing that or not?
Exactly. This is exactly how we're using, AI tools, right? So one of the detractors, again, is the data gathering. It's the putting the data in a structured format so that it fits with our tools that measure, right? So for example, we have an API. So if you have, if you're a corporate organization and you have all this data, very easily you can connect to our API and have all of this in your fingertip. But if you're a small tour operator, so we started using AI for tour operators because tour operators tend to have their itineraries already displayed, at least their top itineraries, some are bespoke, but they have their itineraries displayed on their website. So our AI tool just reads directly from the website and actually gives them a report of the carbon footprint of every single activity that is listed in their, on their website per tour. They can also, let's say if they do a bespoke one, they can provide just let's say if it's already planned, they provide a PDF with the itinerary. We input that into our tool, and again, they get a report. So that really, really eliminates the barrier to be able to have to collect all this data, and actually gives them, an exact, well, I mean, not exact. You always have, to double check it just to make sure, because sometimes, of course, AI can hallucinate, right?
Yeah.
But, we're constantly, teaching the tool and making things a lot better. And so you sanity check it and you have a report. And then we go further by giving you actual decarbonization strategies. Because once you have this information, you know exactly where the biggest sources of your carbon footprint will be.
I have another question related to the AI, and then I go back to Richard. Since we said that communication is really important,
Yeah.
so one thing is having a strategy of communication, taking in mind the five big things I said before, right? So connected to this. Another thing is transforming those strategic 5 points in a communication. And we know that communication, when it's well done, it's really has a lot of cost, and it is a big barrier, because maybe some of them would like to have, some of small, but they cannot afford. You think AI, are you using AI? You see the use of AI on taking down also this barrier, so in communicating better with tourists?
That's, I mean, I think there's so much potential, right? I mean, again, AI is a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool that will help you do things more efficiently. So what can AI do? Actually, yesterday I was listening to a session that was talking about AI in hospitality and how you can do, human-centric, let's say services by using AI, by being able to record what the likes of your guest are. So if your guest is a recurring guest, you actually have all this information already pre-established, and you can actually cater to them right away in a way that feels, at home for them, for example. So that's using, AI to be able to create, better experience, but you can use that as well to be able to communicate effectively and segmented, segmented communications.
Okay, thank you. I go back to Richard, and now we deep dive in your business. Let me know whether you can disclose any information I will ask you, but maybe we'll stop in some way. Now, the point is that, most of the tourists are skeptical about green claims. There are many information that we discovered were false, things like that. Now, my question is, I already asked how do you make sure that everything is clear, but can you describe us how you really do and how you really communicate with tourists? How you really help tourists understanding that what you're doing is the right thing and what they're buying is the right thing according to what they're looking for?
Yeah, so we are 100% a marketing organization. So when we're looking at, we take a different approach. So when we're looking at accommodation, we have a section on the site that's purely, do you generate your own electricity? Have you got solar panels, basically? There's a few wind turbines, but mainly it's have you got solar panels? Because if you've gone to the time and effort of getting solar panels, then you are reducing your carbon output to start off with. And anyone who's got an electric car knows 100% you are a slower, better driver when you've got an electric car, because you can't go as far if you're burning through that electricity to start off with. And the same way, if you've got solar panels, you know that you need to reduce the amount of electricity, turn off the lights, because it's your power that you're using. So in every instance, we'll promote particular categories so that the customer, if they're interested in that, can go and find that. So there is a section on the site where you can do it by the amount of carbon per tour. There's lots of consultants in the UK that go into tour operators and work out that data for them.
And in the work you do with your suppliers, then at the end of the day are suppliers, the hotel or whatever, and do you support them in some way? Meaning that most of the time I notice that hotel managers don't have time to do proper marketing research or to do communication, to do things like that, and they need support. Genuinely, they need support. As a tour operator, in your work, even though it's not framed in this way, do you help them in some way that make them changing? Did you notice something like that?
Yeah, we change by marketing because we generate business and bookings. So we're always pushing them, saying this is the next step in responsible tourism. You know, it's very different than 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you could say, oh yeah, as a hotelier, you're saying leave the towel on the floor if you want to get the towels washed. Most blokes leave the towel on the floor anyway.
Yeah.
So immediately that didn't help the situation. Now it's the hotelier should be just implementing policies on what to do.
Okay. Do you have results?
Can we go back?
Can
to
we go
see?
back to the results? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's a little bit, spread. So maybe we have a bit some of these medium, to larger hotels. And just to give you an idea, it's about 1 metric ton to go from New York to London on a coach flight. So, as you can see, here, so 50 metric tons, compared to the flight. However, in any specific journey, your flight, it tends to be about 50% of, if when you're talking about the individual. Now, when it talks about like let's say Earth's capacity to absorb these amount of metric tons, it actually takes one tree, it takes about 40 years to absorb 1 metric ton, which is why we're in a climate crisis, right? So we are producing a lot more carbon than we can naturally absorb. The next question, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't go through.
It's not going through. Can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So which area do you believe contributes more to the carbon footprint of your hotel? Your company-owned vehicles. So this is the fuel consumption of company-owned vehicles. So that's if you transport tourists, from the hotel to the airport, etc., or if you take them on tours. If you're in a remote destination that you require these things. Gas consumption, so that's for heating, for cooking. Energy consumption, this is your electricity bill. Your waste. Waste also has a carbon footprint, especially if you send it to a landfill. That in itself, it produces harmful gas emissions. Okay, so we're coming to some conclusions here. Food and beverage, of course, especially if you are importing a lot of goods,
Yep.
Which may not be so much the case here because we have so much amazing local produce, but yeah, coming together.
May I ask in the meantime
Yes.
another question? You run with Sylvia a program about how to cut emission.
Yes.
Can you tell something about that? Because then I'll tell a story about this from the Sylvia point of view, from the hotel manager point of view.
Okay, so Sylvia, she's a leader. She's a thought leader, and this is why it works in her organization. I mean, when we're talking about sustainability, it's not enough to just tick the box and actually just fill, let's say, the report that a certification body asks you to do, and you have an intern, to put it together. You need vision and you need leadership, and that stimulates, low-level employees to actually contribute to that vision. And also when they see themselves represented, how it's going to help me and how it helps my community. So it definitely is the starting point there. So when she came to us, she already had a vision, and she was already seeing the results. And this is the same in any organization. You need leadership and you need vision, and then everybody else would follow on the footsteps. And so she came to us, already. Actually, she was already getting certified.
Yeah.
And she asked us about, other certifications, and we supported her in letting her know, depending on her market, which certifications would resonate, better with them. But we also, with the measuring the carbon footprint of her organization, we also helped her mitigate the residual carbon footprint that she cannot reduce from her operation by supporting carbon projects. So there's a portfolio of carbon projects that she or any of the organizations that come to us, support, and they're carbon projects across the world. Our portfolio is about 40% renewable energies, 40% is reforestation or forestry conservation, especially in the most vulnerable zones like the Amazon or Indonesia rainforest. Blue carbon, we actually have a very, very cool, important project that is supporting the lagoons in Venice. That's one of our blue carbon projects, and innovation projects. So innovation projects are super important because they are creating carbon removal through technology. And this is what we need in order to be able to accelerate or let's say curve the effects of climate change, because we have so much carbon in the air. So this is the program that she's working with us, and we also support her with marketing tools.
Yeah. And the story is that when I visited Sylvia, not as a businessman or because most of the time I went there for business with my family, she invited us, was a couple of years ago, and she felt living all the guest experience, whatever. And the nice thing is that your project came at the end. So even though it was a focal point for her, she understood that, okay, first we have to live our experience as a tourist. We have to enjoy Levanto, Cinque Terre. Silvia is based in Cinque Terre. But then in the end, before the checking out, she said, look, I have also this project, and you are contributing, even if you don't know, to this project. There was the carbon offset. Yeah. Do you want to contribute more? And then at that point, you feel you are part of the project as well. So because your experience is not just what she said or the people supporting her, working with her said, but it's that they made you being part of this journey. Mm-hmm. And then at the end you decide, okay, I buy some tree, I buy some carbon. That is not something you had in mind at the beginning. No. Of course, I didn't have in mind. I had, at that time the smallest was 4 years old. And I can tell you, it's a nightmare. And at that time, I had that kind of situation. But at the end, I did, and we did. And we did with a lot of fun, actually, because we've been part of this project. And I go back on this to Richard. And my question is, look, you are working with different suppliers from all over the world. Now, we are here in Florence, we are in Europe, and you work a lot with Italy. And first, really, you have to be honest. Do you think you have enough offer from Italy to be responsible? First, and second, what Italy, not just hotel owners, destination, other kind of supplier can do to improve to be responsible? You have to be really honest.
There's lots of things any hotelier, any tour operator can do. Notice food and beverage was high up on that list. Just take beef off the menu, whether it's locally farmed or whether it's imported. The carbon amount of carbon to produce beef is so much higher. So just take it off the menu. There's so many things that you can do to reduce your carbon impact. But from a marketing perspective, no one's going to book your accommodation because of what you do with grey water, or to be honest, that you've got solar panels. It is all about the local community and the working with the local community, the stories and experiences you can give to a customer by getting to know your local community. That's what's really going to push forward responsible tourism in Italy. Now, I stayed at a lovely hotel last night. I didn't know it was in Florence. Mm-hmm. It was very classic 4-star hotel, almost like a business hotel, but there's nothing that told me I'm in Florence.
And do you think we can do it better? I mean, besides the hotel experience you had, you are here for business. How do you think, not just for your experience, but what you have, what the feedback you have from your clients?
Wherever you go, even if you go on safari in Africa, you might go to see the animals, but the experiences, the memories you come back are the people that you meet. So more the more opportunity you have to interact and meet with local people on an equal footing, not just talking to the receptionist or the waiter, on an equal footing, that 100% makes your holiday better and your memories better and the whole experience better.
Okay, you raised at the beginning a very important point, that is the conflicting point of view of to see the sustainability as an overall concept where everything is aligned, and that is the meat. You know, we are here in Tuscany. We are famous. Tuscany is famous. I'm not from Tuscany, but if for Chianina meat, we talked about it yesterday. How you reconcile the fact that there are conflicting kind of interests sometimes? Something is, look, don't go so far away because there are too many emissions, but most of the people want to go so far away because most of the culture that we don't know are so far away first. And with this, the second one was about the meat. How do you reconcile these two points?
There's loads of delicious meat dishes you can have. Okay, don't offer steak. Offer something that's mixed in with pasta. There's loads of things you can do without going completely away from
when
the culture.
A place is just based on that kind of livestock, on that kind of meat, this is what I
then you
always keep
purchase
on
organic.
saying.
And it's once a week you have on your, if you own a restaurant, then meat's not on the menu every single day. Honestly, my children would have steak every single day if they give them a choice. You don't give the customer that opportunity.
So give it a choice. That's the point. Going back to you, the same questions of before going to the other part of the presentation. How do you see, I mean, you are from Dominican Republic. You have US, you have US passport. You live in Barcelona.
Yes.
So you have different kind of heads, or you say, you told me something last night that you have a different kind of personality. But anyway, you tell them afterwards, what is that you have been seeing around the world that people do practically to go behind these conflicts?
So people, or more the hoteliers, because the people in general,
you
know, how they can, so
people are not, I mean, tourists and hoteliers as well, the two parts of them.
Yeah, the hoteliers. So if we go back to this, you're spot on. So energy consumption can be 37 to 40% of the energy, of the carbon footprint of the hotelier, of the hotel itself. And of course, you can, reduce that by retrofitting, by operational changes, and of course, by using renewable energy. Sometimes you are kind of at the mercy of what the renewable energy source of the local grid. So it also, depends, which is why we need to support the transition in general. But yes, so the energy consumption, and of course, all these other things, also contribute to your carbon footprint. But in a personal journey, in someone that's traveling, the main culprit is going to be your flight. At the moment, that is the highest carbon footprint in any journey. So there are ways you can reduce that by flying coach, by actually flying direct. That will reduce it. Sometimes you can also reduce, making little changes, reduce the amount of luggage that you're carrying, because all of that contributes, to the weight of the plane. But also there are little things you can do, choose responsible, organizations that are actually already doing good. Buy local, eat local. I mean, sometimes, you go to the Caribbean and you order French wine and Angus steak from the States. Like that doesn't make, a lot of sense. So that all of those is the way you consume the product. So, going back to the experience, to the local experience, to be authentic and immersive. So those are, the things that you can do. And then, of course, giving back always. It's not about guilt tripping. It's never about guilt tripping. That doesn't work. It's really about, what you feel, how you experience it, and then what is your cause as well, and what you want to give back to.
We have now 5 minutes left, unless you have something I didn't ask you, you want to add. I would give the floor to some questions. I'm sure there will be some questions. Do you have some questions? Yes?
Good morning. I'm Jacqueline, originally from Costa Rica, but I live in Florence, and I'm Italian too. I'm a professional in sustainable tourism. Actually, I work a lot of years in Costa Rica because our market there is very focused in sustainable tourism. When I changed my work here, I started to work in tourism in Italy, in Florence more than anything. It was a very impact because here it was like when you talk about sustainable tourism, immediately you feel the impact. It's like you are talking in another language because sometimes it's a work I think that you have to do to explain the people how important it is, all the things that right now you're explaining, for example. I work in destinations, in apartments, that actually is another thing, different. But I think he's a partner of hotels. But I think it's very important how this experience have to be sustainable as well. And there is a lot of tools that for example, I start to put in practice the contact directly with the guests and the contact directly with the manager or the hotel, in the case that you're talking about, or the owner of the property, because everybody have to understand that it's a philosophy of work, for example, how we start to lose here the local, as you said, for example, the local contact, the local experience, because sometimes, for example, I be in contact with the people and they are fascinated when you welcome the people, because you explain the people, as a local, I live here, I share with you my experience, and share with you where I go to eat, and share with you as a mother where I go with my kids, because they don't know what to do. And sometimes I hear a lot that the people complain about the tourists, and it's not their fault. Actually, they are the most important piece of the thing, because they are putting all the economy in the place where they visit, and they want to discover. But sometimes the miscommunication with between the industry and or the hotel or the apartment or everything is the key for me. So my question is, how the local government helps in this to the people of the hotel that maybe they have the intention to do, but the local government maybe they don't give you the tools, or they have to do privately because it's a philosophy. So how can we help to involve both in the way that this is the way to be more sustainable in general, for example?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and it's something that the Costa Rica government did really well. They did a positioning, and it's impressive, what they've done, by actually being an ecotourism destination, and how that's permeated across to all the businesses and to attracting the right tourist. So I think it all comes to planning a destination. So who you are, what do you want to be, what's the product, and who are the tourists, and what are the tourists going to do? So you need to, the destination in itself really needs to plan that. Because if you don't, it's haphazard. And then every hotel is a silo, and every hotel might be promoting different things that may not, be aligned with the destination vision or the ethos, and then you can have some clashes with the local communities, for example, especially if you are in very concentrated areas. So with planning, you have deconcentration measures as well. You have, these type of tools to be able to bring people to other places so that the experience is better, both for the guest and the communities. But it's super important for the planning to be human-centric and community-centric first. It's first about the community and how tourism can support the community. So you really need to have these local people first in your planning. And then how everybody else that's visiting can actually contribute and not clash with the local community. So I think.
Thank you. Since we have just few seconds left, I would go back to Richard. Can you tell us the phrase from I think it was Ford? You told us this morning to conclude our panel that I think is nails it down.
Yeah. So Henry Ford, when he said, if I ask my customers what they want, they just want faster horses. And this is really saying you've got to become the experts. Don't expect your customers to know the brilliant truffle hunting trips in Tuscany unless you've gone out and found them. So you've got to make the effort and head out into your community where you operate, create those networks yourself, and find out what is really good there.
Thank you very much. The time is over. Thank you for being here, and let's see maybe next year. Thank you very much.